bitter wind whipped snowflakes against my face, blurring the already treacherous path ahead. Work beckoned, but my feverish daughter held me hostage in the backseat. In my wordy husband's car, we were supposed to be en route to the hospital. Instead, his next move sent chills deeper than the freezing air. "Get out," he barked, shoving us onto the deserted, snow-covered road. With a screech of tires and a trail of exhaust, the car was gone. Clutching my shivering daughter, rage battled the cold as I trudged forward. Blurred memories of the harrowing walk to the hospital and then darkness. When I woke, the events preceding my blackout remained a terrifying puzzle. I'm Samantha Johnson, 28 years old and trapped in a life that once held promise. 5 years ago, love bloomed with George, a charming civil servant, through a colleague's introduction. Leaving my city life behind, we moved to his remote hometown nestled in the mountains. His ailing father needed care, and I, naively seeking a fresh start, readily agreed. He secured a job at the local town hall, while I left my career behind. The close-knit community embraced us warmly. I found solace in helping neighbors with their farms, slowly weaving myself into the fabric of rural life. 3 years ago, our daughter, Sarah, arrived, a beacon of joy amidst the changing landscape. Surrounded by love and support, motherhood blossomed for both of us. However, a darkness lurked beneath the surface. George, seemingly resentful of the community's warmth, grew distant, his affection replaced by unspoken disapproval. As I thrived in this newfound life, the ground beneath me began to shift, and my husband's true colors started to bleed through. Bitter words, laced with resentment, echoed through the house. "Never thought she'd choose them over me," my husband muttered, his voice loud enough for me to hear. His digs at the townspeople, thinly veiled as questions, sent shivers down my spine. He craved appearances, a facade of normalcy maintained only for the public eye. In this small town, whispers could turn into roars, ostracizing you like a plague. Life with him was a carefully constructed performance. George, consumed by his work, left before dawn and returned well after dark, leaving us with stolen moments and a widening chasm. "Dinner's ready," I'd announce, the aroma of stuffed cabbage filling the air. "Already eaten," he'd reply, his tone dripping with disdain. The receipt from the local restaurant, notorious for its cabbage rolls, would flutter to the floor, a cruel reminder of my efforts. Skipping dinner wasn't an option. It earned its own brand of verbal abuse. And fatherhood? Far from a shared joy. "Can you check on Sarah? She's crying," I plead, caught in the middle of a task. "That's your job," he'd bellow, his voice laced with venom. "But she's our daughter, George. Please, don't talk back. I'm working to feed you all," he'd roar, his hand connecting with my cheek in a searing slap. The violence, thankfully, never reached Sarah, but even holding her was a burden he wouldn't bear. How did we get here? This distant, abusive man was a stark contrast to the kind, gentle soul I'd married. "It might be tough, but will you stay by my side?" He pleaded, his eyes pleading. "Yes," I'd whispered, picturing a life filled with love and laughter. I'd uprooted my life, embraced his family, and moved to the mountains all for him. Now the dream lay shattered, replaced by a chilling reality. Cold leftovers sat heavy in my stomach. Another solo dinner after enduring another slap for daring to speak my mind. The thought of escape gnawed at me, an insistent whisper drowned out by the faces I clung to. George's parents, kind and welcoming. Kathy, his sister, a confidant who listened with open arms. They were my anchors, tethering me to this life even as my husband pushed me farther away. "Is George troubling you?" Kathy's concern felt like a balm on my bruised spirits. I could tell her anything, share the tears and unspoken hurts. His mother, a gentle soul, readily took care of Sarah when the darkness descended. They were good people, woven into the fabric of this town I'd grown to love. Leaving felt like betrayal, an unfinished symphony. One morning, an unsettling stillness hung in the air. George, usually an early riser, remained burrowed beneath the covers. A sliver of hope bloomed in my chest. Maybe today would be different. but it remained a bud, unfurling only in my imagination. He offered no explanation, no promise of shared moments. As I prepared to take Sarah shopping, a jarring ringtone shattered the silence. His phone, abandoned on the nightstand, pulsed with life. Rachel, a name that didn't resonate with work colleagues. Curiosity, laced with suspicion, urged me to answer. Could this be the key to the locked door in George's heart, or the beginning of a nightmare I couldn't even fathom? The phone was a searing brand in my hand, the name Rachel scorching my eyes. Before I could react, George snatched it away, his gruff voice a stark contrast to his honeyed tone on the call. "None of your business," he barked, shoving me aside and disappearing into the morning mist, Rachel's voice a fading echo. He used to consider me his everything. Now, a stranger on the phone held his attention, their laughter carving away at the remnants of my love. Something inside me shattered, the final blow to a dying attachment. Days later, a blizzard roared outside, mirroring the turmoil within. My daughter and I burned with fever. The hospital, a distant beacon of hope 30 agonizing minutes away. Snow blanketed the world, erasing paths and burying hope. No license, no escape. "Please take us," I pleaded, voice hoarse, body racked with chills. "Work's tiring," he grumbled, the warmth reserved only for his phone calls. Desperation turned to anger. "It's not just Sarah. I'm sick too." He finally relented, grumbling his way into the driver's seat. Sarah, a feverish doll in the back, whimpered softly. My head throbbed, every breath a struggle. Silence filled the car, broken only by the engine's hum and the insistent chime of his phone. "Work call," he muttered, pulling over. "Be quick." The hospital beckoned, its promise of relief agonizingly near. But work, his sacred cow, demanded precedence. He supported our family. I reminded myself, swallowing my fear. Better silence than his rage. My world tilted as his words shattered the fragile peace. "Work, walk the rest." My blood ran cold. "What?" Icy claws sunk into my skin as George shoved me and Sarah onto the snow-covered road. The car door slammed shut, his reply drowned out by the howling wind. "Open up!" I pounded on the window, desperation echoing against the metal barrier. Nothing. With a sickening screech, the car vanished into the white void, leaving us alone in the blizzard's chilling embrace. Cold seeped into my bones, numbing my fingers and toes. Yet, a white-hot anger burned brighter. Against every fiber of my being, I forced myself forward, each step a battle against the storm, and my own fever-racked body. Sarah's shallow breaths, growing fainter with each passing moment, spurred me on. I cradled her closer, her burning skin a stark contrast to the biting air. My phone, useless and silent, mocked me from my pocket. One thought hammered through the haze: reach the hospital. Somehow, in a daze of pain and determination, I stumbled through the blizzard. The hospital doors, a beacon of hope, finally loomed through the swirling snow. Collapsing into the warm embrace of the waiting nurse, I entrusted Sarah to her capable hands. Darkness then claimed me. Waking to the gentle hum of machines and the comforting sting of the IV, I found Sarah nestled beside me, her face flushed with sleep and health. Relief washed over me, tears mingling with the lingering anger. George's actions, his chilling betrayal, ignited a fire within me. "Can you watch Sarah?" I asked his mother, her presence a silent comfort. Without hesitation, she bundled Sarah into her arms, her eyes reflecting my pain and unspoken determination. Relief washed over me as Sarah's fever finally broke. The doctor confirmed discharge within a day, but I'd need a week more recuperation. Calling home filled me with dread. So what? Not taking care of the kid. George's gruff voice crackled through the phone, his indifference grating even through the line. "Mom will have her," I managed, swallowing my anger. Hanging up, I steeled myself for the unknown. A week later, I returned home, my steps firm with newfound resolve. George, a mess of tears and blood, intercepted me. "Samantha, help me," he pleaded, his sister Kathy a looming figure behind him. "Samantha, welcome back, dear. Are you well?" Kathy's warmth was a balm to my soul. But George's face, a stark contrast to his usual facade, sent shivers down my spine. "She beat me up, called the police." His audacity was laughable. After drooling over another woman, Kathy, her voice laced with righteous anger, exposed his charade. "I caught him," she began, getting cozy with a girl near his office. It all clicked. My whispered suspicions shared with Kathy, her silent promise to investigate. When I confronted him about the woman, it escalated, but I held my own. Turns out, Kathy, a former judo black belt, wasn't to be trifled with. Despite his struggles, George landed face first into a dresser, earning him a nasty nosebleed and a bruised ego. It wasn't cheating. George sputtered, blood mixing with tears on his face. Just a colleague. "We're close, that's all." I snorted, pulling out a business card. "Really like you, George," it read, followed by an invitation for many more dates. "Found it in our bedroom." Not exactly an office exchange, is it? "I met her," I continued, my voice a steel trap. "Remember my extended hospital stay? A lie. While you were busy playing Romeo, I was busy investigating." His eyes widened. "She claimed you were single, but seems she was another tangled web. Guess you two birds of a feather flock together." He gaped, his affair crumbling before him. "She was using me?" "Yep," I confirmed, enjoying the shift in power. Told him finding out would be messy, so no more dates. He deflated, tears welling up. "Brutal timing, but can you sign this?" I brandished a divorce petition, its weight heavy in my hand. "No. Anything but divorce. I'll focus on you, Sarah, I swear." "Why the sudden change of heart, George? You weren't exactly Mr. Devoted Husband before," I pointed out, amusement lacing my tone. His eyes darted around, shame evident. "Damn it, why ask? In our small town, whispers traveled faster than gossip. A divorce, especially one fueled by his infidelity, would brand him with scarlet letters. Was his disdain for rural life rooted in the fear of his misdeeds being exposed? "What do you mean?" I pressed, intrigued by the flicker of vulnerability in his eyes. The town gossip did her work swiftly, leaving George as pale and speechless as a ghost. His pleas for forgiveness fell on deaf ears. "That's too much," I declared, the weight of his betrayal heavy on my chest. He had asked for help, but not on my terms. "No lasting effects," he said. But what if there had been? The memory of the blizzard gnawed at me, fueling my resolve. "Never again," I vowed, eyes locked on his. Then, a new challenge. $30,000 damages, $50,000 for Sarah. His panicked protests were drowned out by the echo of his infidelity. He crumbled, collapsing onto the floor, but the gesture held no power. My decision was made. With a firm grip, I dragged him out, the door slamming shut on a chapter of my life. The divorce, finalized with the unwavering support of George's mother and Kathy, brought closure. He left town, ostracized and alone, his affair mirroring his downfall. I held onto the $30,000 settlement and secured a job at the town hall. The rhythm of daily life slowly soothing the wounds. Looking at Sarah, her laughter echoing through the house, a warmth bloomed in my chest. This town, once a cage, now felt like a haven. Here, surrounded by genuine smiles and unwavering support, I would build a new life, one brick at a time. For them, for me, for a future painted in hope. I hope you guys enjoy our video. To watch more interesting stories, hit that subscribe button. Thank you.